So, as an aside there, yeah, that's obviously AI is doing all that stuff. I put that together. I know it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I put that together. And as an aside, Brandon's off this week. And so he can't tell me no to bad ideas. And so that was my bad idea. And I have a feeling that if he sees this, he's going to be like, what? I go away for 1 week and, yeah. Thank you, Gemini. By the way, out of all, yeah, something useful from AI. Out of all of the multitude of AI services that I still have and haven't really like weaned down yet, Gemini does the best at making dumb stuff like that. So anyway, I'm sorry. Let me get to it since because I'm running solo this week, so I'm trying to do everything I can, including mess with the audio and whatnot. So if I sound terrible, it's all my fault. Anyway, let's get to it, friends. Hey, this is the Two Guys Tech Home Lab Hour. I am your intrepid host, Rich Teslo, and this is episode 65, as we can see by the 65 logo, or 66. Did I not update this? It's 66. It is a 66th episode. I did that. That's correct. I'm not correct. Oh my goodness. Left without supervision. That is the truth. Anyway, so I'll get the housekeeping out of the way. This is, I'm just looking at the chat. I'm going to be super distracted. It's been a while, guys. You spend 6 days in Las Vegas with a bunch of conferences and stuff, and you come home not the same person. You're much more withered and wilted and, I don't know, exhausted. I'm still exhausted. Anyway, this is the 2GT Home Lab Hour. This is where we hang out. We talk about home lab stuff. We talk about the videos that I make on Two Guys Tech, and it's a good time to hang out with you, all you awesome people. Look at the chat. Antitux was the leader in this leaderboard this week. He was clearly lonely in the beginning, but we've got I saw Shadow in there. I saw Jason's there. Leavix, who said he wasn't going to be here because he had some sort of deployment that was more important. He decided to grace us with an appearance. Dave's in there. Who else I see? Some random dude is back. Not really random anymore because you're here pretty regularly. And we got John Harrison there. We got a great group of people starting us off. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. As I said, I am a little I'm running this solo. Brandon, BK, 2GT BK, whatever you want to call him. He is he's on vacation. He takes vacations, and that's what this time he is. And so I'm trying to press all the buttons and do all the stuff. I'm just gonna warn you right now. This is gonna go poorly. And if we lead with the expectation being low, then anything beyond that or above that is going to be exceeding expectations. Unlike my performance reviews. Anyway, badum tis. I want to turn this audio down just a wee bit because it's loud in my ears. So some random dude just said, you went to Vegas and no Trek news. This might be one live show where we just don't really talk about live stuff. I am spicy. Anyway, we'll just get to it. So last week, flew out on a Tuesday to go down to Las Vegas for Black Hat, which was, basically Wednesday and Thursday, and Friday was the start of DEFCON. So I did DEFCON as well. So flew in Tuesday, flew out Sunday night. Boy, oh boy, that's like, I don't know who you are in terms of how you view Las Vegas. I personally think Las Vegas is fun. I think that it's only fun for roughly 2 to 3 days, and that includes travel. So we'll just keep it at that, right? You burn out real fast because you just go. Everyone goes hard, right? And by the way, in the chat, please tell me if you are you a pro Vegas or con Vegas, not convention. You get what I'm saying. Are you pro or con Las Vegas? And if so, what's the duration of time which is appropriate to be there? But I will tell you, for me, 6 solid days is too many days. So by day 3, you're like, I can't believe I'm doing this. Still doing it. Not doing a live stream on the plane. How could I? I know, right? I just couldn't do it. And I wasn't gonna do it from the hotel room either because I technically could have. But dude, I'm not a hotel live streamer. That's just not for me. Anyway, so I'd like to start this with a kind of a personal story. And this one is more of a parable, if you will. But I thought it was funny and interesting, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So uh, this is about travel specifically. And in this case, so I flew back Sunday evening. My flight was supposed to be at 6:30-ish. And this is from Vegas to Portland, PDX. And about 5 o'clock or so, they get on the old intercom. They're like, hey, plane's going to be delayed. And they went as far as like, apparently there's something going on with like San Francisco SFO and the FAA not getting along or something. Like, so you go look that up. Anyway, I looked it up and there was something along those lines. But the plane was going to be late. It was scheduled to land basically 45 or 40 minutes later than it was supposed to, right? And so it doesn't bother me. My end destination is PDX, so I'm good. But plane gets in, you could tell that the flight out of San Francisco, man, they booked it. They got there, and I think they only really arrived maybe 10 or 15 minutes later than we were supposed to take off. So we think about that. And this was an Alaska flight, and the Alaska Airlines people there were like, look, we're gonna turn around. They're on the. See, I'm using, this is the old man thing. This is how you talk over the intercom, just in case you wonder. So they get on the intercom and they're like, look, we're going to turn and burn this aircraft. Y'all be ready. I'm paraphrasing. They didn't speak like this. You get ready. We're going to get you in, sit you down, and we're going to go because we got to make connections for people on this flight. I didn't even think there were connections out of Portland, but there are to places like Medford and Bend. And if you've been in this area, you kind of know. Yeah, it makes sense. Man, choo-choo, welcome. So they get there. That plane gets in, and I kid you not, we were boarding within like 10 minutes. They were just hauling ass. They finally stuff us all into the plane, right? And we took off at roughly, like, I would say we took off at like 7 p.m. So we're just 30 minutes late, which is impressive for a plane that was already apparently 40 minutes later, so out of San Francisco. We get in the plane. Again, back with the intercom stuff, the flight attendant's like, sit down, shut up. I don't care where you stick your bag. If there's a spot, you stuff it in the spot. We got to go. We're going to go. And again, I'm just like, wow, these guys are serious. They mean business. They want to make up that time. And all the passengers, there's a full plane because obviously it's the end of the week of cons. So there's lots and lots of people on there. And we take off and everything's fine. And I can tell that we're making great time. You pull up in the little Alaska Wi-Fi app. You're like, oh, wow, we're going to land in time. 30 minutes before we land, they get back on the intercom. And they're like, listen, we're getting in. We're going to go straight to the gate. Nobody, unless you have, again, paraphrasing, unless you have a connecting flight, you stay in your seat. You let the people who are on the connecting flight get off this aircraft as fast as possible so they can go. And we touched down and we were only like 20 minutes late into PDX, right? So there's a good possibility that they held those planes and it was like, this is it. 20 minutes. These people can make their connections. They're going to do it. We land. We are rolling up to the gate. All of this effort that's gone in to make sure that this plane gets there as fast as possible on time. Rolling up to the gate, the plane stops short of the gate. The pilot gets on. He says, there's been a gate stop. We have to wait here until they allow us to go to the gate. 25 minutes later, sitting on the tarmac there, just right outside the gate, we roll into the gate and we get, they plug up the jetway onto the gate. Or onto the plane. And all of that hard work, all of that effort, every single thing the pilots did, the gate attendants, the flight attendants, like all these people who are just trying to not ruin these people with connections time. And it was all ruined when they got there. So moral of the story. Yeah. Levick says flying sucks. Yes. I mean, that would be the moral of any story. I think, flying is, it's kind of a nightmare, but like I said, my moral of the story is like, I wrote this down. Sometimes, no matter how much collective effort you or your team put into something, no matter how hard you try, you're going to miss your goal, or in this case, your connecting flight. But kudos to Alaska. Those guys, I tell you what, they were serious. Like I've never seen a flight crew and everybody just busting asses, figuratively speaking, like hauling ass to do whatever they could to get those people there. And so, try trains, 30 minutes late. How cute. Yeah, right. Exactly. some random dude makes a comment about, like trains. If you've ever done an Amtrak train, especially in the Pacific Northwest, I don't think that they have watches for those trains. Like they're on their own schedule. I've only done it once. I took a train up to Seattle, and I kid you not, that was like a 4-hour late train. They're just like, trains are hard, and that was the answer. So whatever. So anyway, that was it. So what are we gonna talk about in this live show this week? This week, kind of a light show. I made a mistake, friends. I'm gonna tell you this mistake, and I think that you can all relate to this mistake. Maybe not, but I think you can. I decided that I would go straight, landed Sunday evening, and got in late because of the delays and all that kind of junk. So I got home at like 11:30 p.m. And you can't just go to sleep after driving an hour from the airport to where you live and everything. So I think I got to bed about 1 o'clock. Stupidly, foolishly, I thought I was 20 years old again. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go to work tomorrow. I'm going to go into my day job. I'm going to work, right? It turns out that was a terrible idea. And I've just been a zombie. I'm the Walking Dead. I'm much better today, but Monday was a wash. Don't remember anything. So what'd you say, Shadow? You said, I'm disappointed you don't travel with a cluster of servers in your room like Yocto. Did I take I don't travel like that. Yocto is a much more prepared home labber and self-hoster than I am. But I should have taken the day off. And anyway, so I don't even know where I was at now. Here we go. All right, so let's get to what do I want to talk about the show. I'm going to catch you guys up on my experiences at Black Hat and DEFCON, just high level kind of stuff. And then right before I left, I dumped the first half of the AI video, and then I disappeared like a ghost, just smoke bomb. And so I want to show you what it looks like. Run some queries so if you guys could see it. You can see it in real time. You can see it maybe break on me, and talk about that a little bit because I think it's cool. There was a question that had been asked a lot by, I think, even the people in the community, like, well, how much do those GPUs actually pull wattage wise when they're doing the compute? Well, we'll be able to see that in a second, which will be cool. Look at that from a high level, right? And show you some of that kind of cool stuff. And then we'll do some news, and we will call it a day. And then, because I'm all over the place, I want to tell you that I get 2 times the show to talk about our community. And after the live show, we'll hop over to the after hours chat, hang out and chat, and just kind of catch up because it's been a good time. I will have to admit, though, friends, that I will have to leave the after hours a little bit early. I have a 15-year-old son who is learning to drive, and I have to go pick him up from his driving classes in a town that's about 30 minutes away. So 7:30, I'm going to have to back up. But anyway, all right, let's get to the Black Hats and the DEF CON. So just from a high level for you guys, because I mean, I'm sure you guys know what this is, but Black Hat is basically, we can argue this, but in my opinion, Black Hat is effectively the premier security conference, right? There are really 2 in the United States. There's RSA that's in San Francisco, and then there's Black Hat that's done, and they're both done every year. Black Hat is done in Las Vegas. Black Hat is a place you go when you can have a company, when your company can afford to send you a key indicator there, because tickets are not cheap to go to Black Hat. They're like $3,000 to $5,000. That gets you trainings and sessions, and it gets you access to their giant business hall thing. Look at that guy in a purple suit. Isn't he great? Black Hat for me, and the reason why I go as a security practitioner, like I did that, is about being exposed to a bunch of different products, things that I don't know exist, and talking to vendors, talking to my current vendors. And, it's a good place to actually meet. Every business has got a CEO or executive there, and you can actually bend their ear and tell them how you like or dislike their products, which I do on the regular. But that's neither here nor there. I will give you kind of like the rundown. What was the big topic? Anyone can guess what the big topic at Black Hat was this year? No? Anything? Was it security? It was AI. That was it. It was all about AI. And it was funny because there was so much of, like, you walk in and you'll talk to people like, oh, what's your product? Well, our product is an agentic security SOC that helps your your analysts be able to triage thing, but it's not to replace them. That was the big walk that all these vendors had essentially a different form of saying the same thing. It's AI with the human in the middle, or AI with human supervision, or AI with human oversight. Like they were really, you walking especially like, we're not trying to replace the engineers. We are helping augment them and make their lives easier. And I don't disagree one bit that that's very, very useful. But I said to one of my coworkers, I'm like, in 2 years from now, when you go to talk to these same people, or less of them, because there's a whole bunch of startups that are going to disappear. When you go to talk to them in 2 years, they're not going to say AI with the human in the middle. They're going to say AI without the need of human oversight or assistance. Like, you know that's what's going to come, right? That's just the way it is. And yeah, so there were tons and tons of startups there, but everything was just AI. So if you want to know what you missed, you didn't miss anything unless you really like AI. And AI stuff like agentic socks for like security teams that want to have AI do the work. And there were AI governance platforms for, oh, your company wants to use AI. How about you plug in all your AI stuff here and there and do all that stuff, and then it can tell you when someone says something mean about your CEO and that kind of stuff. But lots of AI stuff. Thanks, Ben. Choo-Choo says, I'll never replace you with AI, Rich. You might find it's a little nicer. AI. Anyway. But it was still a good time. I walked away with a bunch of garbage swag, which is funny. I have enough shirts from all these different vendors that I'm pretty sure that I could, go to a Goodwill and probably walk away with quite the donation receipt, because I think I came away with like 15 or 20 different shirts. And I like to collect stickers and put them all over the sticker fridge downstairs in the garage. And that was good. So, I don't necessarily recommend that you go to Black Hat, but I do absolutely recommend that everybody, at least every single one of you, and I'm pointing at the chat right now, which you obviously can't see, should at least once go to DEF CON. Because even if you're not a super computer nerd, or you're not a hacker, or do the pens have Wi-Fi? No, they don't, unfortunately. There's just something about what it's becoming as a convention, where if you love people watching, it's the place to go. But also, I highly recommend it. There's a whole lot of disciplines and interests. If you're into hacking X, Y, and Z, if you want to learn how bad guys do stuff, how to defend stuff, you want to challenge yourself, they have tons of CTFs or capture the flags. Most of them are self-driven and self-guided, and you go through it. I know there's going to be some comments in the chat. No, Antitex, not that I'm aware of. They're still knocking them out. There's nothing I've heard that they're getting rid of DEF CON. I did bring a burner laptop. Yes, I did. I didn't connect to any Wi-Fi. I didn't do anything like that, so don't worry. I also think that a lot of the hyperbole around like, don't have your cell phone on, just turn it off. I think that's a possibility, but in previous DEF CONs, you see lots of people walking around with lots of antennas sticking out of their bags and stuff, but you don't really see that much anymore. But I'm not saying it's not there. You can minimize or miniaturize your radios, SDR stuff, but a lot of cool colleges showing off a lot of their cool projects and just cool stuff. But again, if you have an interest, let's see if I can go back a little bit in time here, since like everything's broken down in these villages, and villages are essentially collections of communities focused on things. Lockheed Martin was there. They had a CTF challenge that I wasted too much time and got really mad just to find out that my syntax was wrong. That really pissed me off. OpenAI was there showing off some of their new security models and functions and talking about, security. There's just for somebody like Antitex, who lives relatively close. I mean, you should visit. I'm just telling you. But anyway, it was a good time. I want to tell you a story though, because I think this is interesting. Why did that not make me full screen? I don't know how this works, guys. Anyway, I didn't go as 2GT Rich. Just to be clear, I just went as me. I didn't even have the hat, mostly because I packed poorly and didn't even bring the hat. Is kind of like the uniform. I've come to embrace it. It is, right? When I don't have the hat on, people are like, who are you? And I'm like stranger, Rich, stranger. And I didn't have anything. And I was walking around And I was looking at one of these in the Badge Life villages. And there's a guy who's looking at me and he says, "Hey, are you on YouTube?" And I looked at him and I said, and mostly is like tongue in cheek and joking, like, "Maybe. Do you recognize me?" And he looks at me and he says, "Two Guys Tech, right?" And I'm like, "Oh, you know who I am? Me? You know?" And and I said, "Hey, what's your name, man?" And yeah, I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." And I shook his hand and talked to him for a little bit. And I don't know. It's not an ego thing, because I feel like I'm just a dude playing another dude. That's my entire personal motif. My whole life is I'm just a dude playing another dude, right? Yeah, never scan QR codes. I agree with that, Geek of All Trades. And to be recognized, the guy's like, "Yeah, I know who you are, and I watch your stuff." I'm like, "Oh, that's great." So, and I realized I don't have anything to give. I don't know why I feel like I need to give somebody something, but just like hey, I met you. Here's a cool thing, like a token, like a sticker or a challenge coin or something like that. And so the community gave me some great ideas. Go join the community and give me your opinions on that kind of stuff too. But it's just neat. It makes me feel super special. I don't know why, because again, I'm just a charlatan, just like all of us up here, just trying to fake it till we make it, I guess. But so as an aside, if that person who I'm not going to name, I do remember your name, so you can't pretend it's. But if that said person happens to see this, dude, hit me up through our community Discord, or send an email to the YouTube thing on the channel, and I want to send you something. I want to. So. I'm bouncing back and forth between the chat here. So Geek of All Trades says, "Yeah, it's actually pretty cool to get recognized. Doesn't happen often in our niche, but always fun. It's a fun nerd that recognizes us." Yeah, I think that I get recognized more than people actually. Most people respect people's like privacy or distance, but I've walked by people like in a Best Buy. Places where maybe similar nerds will kind of just organically occupy. But I've walked by and had people do this. As I'm walking by, like they obviously recognize me, and then I'll like turn around and they'll still be like looking at me, and I'm like, obviously that person recognized me from somewhere, or he thinks I'm like on a wanted poster somewhere, but they never say hi. And I wish they would. I wish every single one of them would say, "How you doing?" And I'd be like, "Hey, how you doing?" Right? That's just your face. Yeah, thanks, dude. Yeah, it's just I got like this horrible disfigured face. Like, what is wrong with that guy? There's something wrong with him. Look at him. That can't be normal. Anyway, one last thing I wanted to show you guys. One thing that DEF CON does every 2 years is they have hardware badges. And this year's hardware badge, see if the camera will focus on it. There we go. Is kind of an interesting deal. It's a badge that has a very specific function. It's essentially a community-built, open-sourced, everything security kind of YubiKey style thing that you can use as a security token. And it comes off the badge. So there's batteries out there. It comes off the badge. It's not meant to stay on the badge. But with it, they did this thing this year where you can scan a QR code. It's got a black and white camera in the back, right? Which you can barely see. And the other badge can scan that QR code, and it changes the lights like a little digital thingy. And it's neat. They're all neat. They end up in a drawer, but I thought it was cool. I like it. Anyway, I don't know if I'm going to use it as a security YubiKey, because I have YubiKeys and I have OAuth tokens, and we all have a number of different, like even passwordless stuff with your passkeys and whatnot. So, and we're like, a Coral Dayton showed up. How about that? First stream back, and I'm blinking at Rich talking about potentially be a felon. I love the community. You guys are great. Anyway, so that was Black Hat DEFCON. It was a blast. I had lots of fun. Again, especially DEF CON, just go once. I know it's Vegas, and a lot of people just despise Vegas. Just go to the con. Try it out. If you don't like it, don't ever go again. but enjoy it. Try it once. It's the spice of life, friends. That's experience. So anyway, let's get to some actual, I don't know, technology. What do you say? So you guys know, right before I left, I dropped the video for the AI server build, and I wanted to spend some time and share, just give you a kind of a walk around, look around at it. So this is it. There's a lot to this, but you're looking at Open Web UI, and what did Antitech say here? Potentially, allegedly proven innocent until found guilty, right? Innocent until guilty. At least that's what they're supposed to do. Anyway. This is Open Web UI. This is fronting the user interface for the AI server that I built. By the way, go check out the video if you haven't, because I feel like I have to say that. I promise very soon, after I get through a few more obligations in video-wise, there's going to be a full video on how it's built, which I think is really beneficial and valuable, because I'll go through all the different components, the different tools, interaction, the Docker this, the container that. We'll get through all that stuff. Ask AI how it knows if it's been hacked. And you know what? We'll do that. Why not, Shadow? We're going to ask our local AI. So I'm going to be using Quen 3.635B. And we'll ask its question, like Shadow asked, which is, how do you know if you've been hacked? Now, for the record, just because I think it's important to talk about some of the stuff that you see here, this model has access to the interwebs via SearchXNG. It's got access to image generation, which is there, and it has a sandbox terminal if it wants to download and execute code or whatever it's going to do. So, in case you want to know, this is not just the model answering. This is the model plus its tools. And all right, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could? All right, you know what? Sorry, Shadow. Coral Dayton's got a better one. So, how much? I don't know why I care about it. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Fair? And go. What's an AI? Well, it's actually a large language model that's built upon being trained on a bunch of different disparate data points. It's kind of like a neural network, but it's basically a big database. And we can talk about something. Anyway, so let's see. So while this is going on, I do want to show you this. We can look and see in real time the draw. So I have 3 GPUs, 3 RTX 3090s, and right now they're all basically 224 watts for one, 200, like they're bouncing around here, but we can see here 200, 400, let's say almost 600 watts of draw at that peak right there. And you can see the utilization across these 3 GPUs. Utilization always drives me crazy, because like we got reached a peak here at number 1 at what's this, 25%. And you can see how much of the actual GPU's memory is being consumed, and I have 3 GPUs. So this Quen 35B model with all of the context is what we got. Let's say we'll round up 10 gigs there, let's say 11 gigs there, around down there, and 14 gigs. So 10, 11, and 14. It's a lot, right? It's more than would fit into a single card right there. Yeah, Shadow. It all of a sudden just goes freeze. Everything freezes. The move offline. No, I have plenty of power for this system. Anyway, did you finish? It looks like it finished. So what did it say? To the question, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? I can't believe I said that on the internet, but I did. This is a classical tongue twister and children's riddle. The traditional answer goes, here's the thing, but here's a woodchuck. Sorry, it gave me an answer. A woodchuck would chuck as much wood as a woodchuck could if a woodchuck could chuck wood. But here's the fun fact. In 1988, New York State Game Commissioner Richard Thompson actually did the math. He calculated a woodchuck, which is really a groundhog, can move around 700 pounds of dirt when digging its burrow. Extrapolating from that, I mean, he gave us an answer, which is, I shaved my legs for this. You didn't have to. You could have absolutely stayed unshorn. I'm whatever you want to do. Anyway, so I did want to kind of just show off more of this. I appreciate the comp, but Anatux believes I won't go much higher than 350 watt on each of them. That would be fine. That's still within my power budget. But let's ask it more of a, because I want to show you kind of some of the interesting stuff like, give me the current world news. So this is a local model. I just said it's Quen 3.6 or 35B running, and I'm going to ask it a question that it's going to, via OpenWeb UI, use the tool of SearchXNG to get to the interwebs. And so there, I'm sorry, it doesn't like it. I love when I do this and it doesn't work. Let me see. I have a, where's my, I'm gonna look through here. What was my specific, search the internet for the current news. There it goes. You can see little, it's got Reuters and AP News, and it's doing thing. And man, it gives me goofy little icons, all of this stuff. YouTube sensation Miss Rachel announces her debut album with Mr. Aaron. I'm so happy. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so I'm just showing you an example. One of the things that I like about using this tool is because I'm using SearchXNG on the back end, which is like a local anonymous search engine, or in like web caller. When I can't get to I may have done this recently. When I can't get to a website because they've said, "Oh, you're running an ad blocker. We won't let you go to this website unless you disable the ad blocker," I will take that URL and I'll throw it in here and I'll say, "Give me the TLDR on this article," and it goes and gives me it goes and grabs the website and gives me the TLDR, which is a lot faster than. I'm not gonna disable any ad blockers for any website. Period. The end. Because if I was cool with that, I'd have probably not had ad blockers to begin with. But perfect example. Searches the web. You can do all that stuff. And this again, I'm using Quen 3.6. But let's do a new chat just for funsies. Let's see. Let's switch up. Let's grab Ornith 35B. Ornith is a coding model that does really well. And let's just I'm going to use a good example of this just to see. Let's create a modern website for an airline company that gets their passengers to their destinations on time. Download images from the internet as well to make the website come alive. I spelled destination wrong, not that it really matters, but okay. Using Ornith. Let's see what it does here. Am I open terminal running? Yes, it is. Cool. And go. So this will take a little bit, right? It's going to build this. But we'll go over here and I just want to watch. What we should see is, see it just fill up all of these GPUs. Now, the reason why I like Ollama, and I don't use something like VLLM or a different sort of model runner is because I can load concurrent models into the memory so that if this is a multi-user system and someone's still using Quen, they can still have access to Quen without having to unload a model and reload another one. It's not as fast. It's not as sexy, but destinations. Yes, I know. Spelling is hard. English is my first language. Thank you very much. But we can see like this run, and we're up to 21 gigs here. We're up to 20 gigs down here. We're up to 19. So we're almost filling up those cards. There's still like, what's that? Let's just say there's like 12 gigs of total memory available. We can see utilization low, medium, high, whatever. Where are we at with this? But this is really cool. So a lot like ChatGPT, like Claude or those other ones, Ornith will build this like task list, right? And it will start going through and doing all this stuff. I'm sorry, Geek of all trades. The reason why I'm like averaging numbers is because I also am not a fan of math. Math is not fun. It's not fun. It's just not fun. I'm not a math person. Anyway, so again, for what it's worth, and take it for what it's worth, this is all running downstairs in my garage, right? It is completely local hosted. I'm telling it to do a thing. We'll see how nice the website looks in a second. It might look like trash. We'll see, but it's it's going through and it built its task list and its plan. It's going to do it. Let's go back here and see what it's doing here. So, we had one big jump up there to like 50%. That's pretty good. Still around 21. Let's look at the power consumption. So we got on number 2, we're at 220 watts. So roughly 600 total watts. I'm averaging here. And it's, if you add, it's close. It's close to 600 watts of combined power consumption, right? And you can see all this. And another thing, because people are asking, like, what's the temperatures of the GPUs? I don't know if you can see this so well, but when they're running full blast like this, we look like we're 134. Another one is 154. Another one's 160. I could probably, it's probably a good idea for me to change the pads on these things. And they came out in what, 2019, something like that, right, guys? So it might be a good idea to pull them and give them some, redo the pads and redo the thermal paste on it. But that's, it's in a box, got good airflow. Where are we at with this? Oh, we jumped up a little bit. 200. Here we go. Come on, baby. Where are we at with this? How you doing, Ornith? Oh, we're adding JavaScript interactivity. And another thing you can do, Geek of All Trades said, man, remember when GPUs were actually useful, like mining Ethereum? Sorry, not sorry. I do. I did my fair share of mining stuff. So, all right. So it's showing me all this stuff, but I believe that I can go over here and I can, yeah, there we go. So, and look at that. That was a pretty nice logo. Okay. It built this page from whole cloth. And I think that's pretty awesome. So let's see what we got here. Now look at all this. It's all, there's an airplane and a little chopped up there. And this is all bullshit, right? It all generated this stuff. It's an example, folks, but like since 2000, Sky Vista Airlines has been redefining air travel. Safety first. I don't know. All made up. Our services. That's looking pretty good. All of these pictures, by the way, were pulled off of. Now, what is the web service that there's like a free web service. Game over, Dave, or Unleash the Dave knows. I can't remember what the name of the Unsplash. But it pulled all this stuff off the interwebs, and free Wi-Fi, family friendly. And fake reviews. I love it. The food alone is worth the flight, and the free Wi-Fi let me close out work before landing. Best business class experience in years. They're all fake. I don't know if you can see this. It's just hands shaking, but Unsplash. That's right. But all right. So like, if you're not impressed, I'm not going to be able to impress you with this. Period. The end. And I'm not really here to do that other than to be like, it's pretty wild that I asked it to do a thing. You saw my prompt. Scrolling back up here. All the prompt was create a modern website for an airline company that gets its passengers to their destination on time. That was the joke from the first half of the, with the Alaska getting there on time. When you know. Anyway, and download the images. Yeah, it's like Jason said, it's not bad for some quick slop. I agree. Like, yes, of course, if you were going to use something like this in real life, you would take this code and you would make it appropriate for a foundation as a static website. That's pretty good. It even generated a technically correct phone number, which I wonder if that exists. Wait, hold on. Just for shits and giggles here, guys, is Sky Vista an actual... If this ends up being some like adult website, I apologize in advance. No, it's just owned. It's just one of those, if you want to buy this, you can buy it. Good. That was a risky click on my part. I apologize for that. I should have not. Yeah, this is for sale. But nonetheless, I think that's pretty badass. Oh, Sakura is here. Welcome, Sakura. I gotta say, I think it's pretty legit. None of these links work, by the way, but that's okay. Anyway, long story short, we'll get back to this. So I think it's fantastic that I don't have to, use a Frontier model to do that. And I think that the quality of that, while we can agree that it's slop, is effectively, is what you'd get out of Claude or ChatGPT. And Geek of All Trades said, I built a countdown clock for Win Server OS 2016 EOL to use for our sales guys to draw more project ops as the lead magnet, complete with AI. I mean, that's a legit way to, hey, by the way, did you see that 2016 is coming to an end? I don't even want to think about that. I've got a ton of 2016 servers in production. Ugh. It never ends. Tech debt, it's a cycle. It's a vicious, vicious cycle. Anyway, long story short, last thing I'll put about this because I want to just get through some news real quick and then we can call it a show. BK's put a whole bunch of work into making this publicly available, like on the interwebs via Cloudflare, Magic and stuff, and I would rather him explain it than me. And ideally, the idea behind this is to make this a perk, locked down appropriately. I just want to be clear, there won't be any Monero or Bitcoin mining going on in this box, but locked down in a way that allows people in certain tiers of our community to be able to access it and do some AI shenanigans of their own. You know, so that's coming. But yeah, Shadow said, I'm looking forward to November, December when app devs finally realize they have to scramble last minute to update all their 2016 servers. I will have popcorn and make hot dogs on the dumpster fire that will happen, lol. You know, you should be commiserating with those people, Shadow, because one of the worst parts of doing the IT dance, frankly, is having to deal with things coming to end of functional life. And it's tough. It's tough for everybody. But I mean, I also, no, actually I disagree, because as the infrastructure day job kind of goes, that's the kind of thing that then the app dev people just look at me and go, I need you to build me some 25 servers right now. I need those right now, please. So it always trickles downhill. Still rolls downhill, I think. So there. All right. Let's move on to some other interesting stuff. Speaking of DEF CON, I did want to bring up this funny thing right here. This came courtesy of one of our awesome community members. They know who they are. Hackers jam Wi-Fi signal on Delta Air flight from Las Vegas and then broadcast scam internet login. So, long story short, it seems that some enterprising hacker with a Wi-Fi pineapple decided to run a full DOF against their in-flight Wi-Fi on this Delta flight to Georgia, and then broadcast their own malicious SSID that they called Delta Wi-Fi Fast. And the interesting is, the ACAR's conversation between the pilots and the ground was captured by this flight deck app that reads, we have a bunch of packs that were at a cyber conference in Las Vegas. They were able to jam our Wi-Fi and broadcast their signal. Hey, alert corporate security. We have a PAX on that has created a scam Wi-Fi called Delta Wi-Fi Fast. We believe they are trying to scam other PACs. So as an aside, so it's a hacker conference. We talked about that a little bit, but there's a lot of vendors selling stuff there. And Hack5 is I'm sure you guys have heard of Hack5. They're pretty well known for making pen test tools, and they made the first original rubber ducky. You guys remember these things back in the day. They were selling these guys there, the Wi-Fi Pineapple pager, which is basically their Wi-Fi Pineapple in this pager size package. And they were flying off shelves. I know two people that were at the con that I personally went with who bought these, and I am not one of them. So don't just calm yourself. And I'm willing to bet you $1 that somebody with their new toy got on the plane. We're like, I'm going to try this in real life, and boop, 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 and did it, right? Here's the thing that, it probably wasn't malicious, just I can because of the thing. I agree with that. I agree. The one thing I will say is, the one place you don't, as an American, as a traveler, the one thing that I know is you don't F with airplanes, even if it's something that's going to not affect an airplane. There was this video I watched of a pilot, and he was discussing like how people on airplanes act and the powers that pilots and flight attendants have, right? In the eyes of the law, not just like, this is our airplane, we can kick you off thing, but the guy had this he was a big pilot of a bunch of big airline or a big airline, and he's like, people don't understand that once you step off that jetway and you step across that threshold in an airplane, you are in federal territory. So that means everything you do, every single thing you do on an airplane, if it is considered malicious or illegal or something, is a federal crime. That's period, the end. And coming from a pilot who would know his stuff and coming from an American we've been around, we know what what it's like to fly these days. I mean, for a long time now. And so it's one of those things that just stuck with me. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do anything that even might tangentially get me in trouble with that sort of stuff. So, I saw, I think it was Geek of All Trades just set up in the chat there. Like, it probably wasn't somebody being intentionally malicious. They just got a new toy and they were trying out their new toy and they thought it was neat. Little did they know that they were committing a felony, federal crime. Anyway, nonetheless, the article goes on, and this was reported in a few other places, that they didn't catch the person because they didn't raise their hand and say, it's me. It's me. I'm the bad guy. It's me. They just kept their mouths shut. And they were going to they're looking for the perpetrator. But, at that point, airplanes on the ground, people disembark or debark, whatever. And the most expensive pager-shaped SBC ever, lol. Yeah. So, some random dude, feds have no sense of humor. That might be one of my favorite comments of the, just to put this up here because I think that's funny. That's, nonetheless, take it for what it's worth. My recommendation is don't mess with airplanes when you're in an airplane. Just don't. It's going to be bad for you. It's going to be bad. It's going to be something that stays on your record for a long time. But nonetheless, these are pretty cool, by the way. I'm bad decision making aside there, these are really, really neat things that, they do the whole Wi-Fi pineapple stuff. They will force a deauth, so they'll kick people off a wireless SSID, and you can fake an SSID of the same name, and you can actually pass your internet through it, so you can passively scrape the information that's going on. Or Geek of All Trades. Don't mess with airplanes, and don't mess with people who handle your food. 2 rules to live by. Yes. Yes, for sure. Anajuk said, I swear I will never screw with a giant metal tube that I'm currently inside. That's another thing. I believe personally that airplanes are completely safe. I don't get on an airplane and go, oh, this is it. This is my time. But I also know that, there's no reason to do anything in the airplane at 35,000 feet. When you're 6 miles in the air, perhaps, maybe just a general word of caution, don't mess with the airplane in any fashion, even if it's to screw with the consumer Wi-Fi that they charge an arm and a leg for. Just don't try to plug into the CAN bus system on the airplane. Don't do that stuff. There was a dude who did that. I don't have this article to show you, but like a few years back, there was a dude in 2024 who dug under the seat and found an Ethernet jack and plugged in, and he was part of the network that was the entertainment system. You can guess where that guy went. He didn't get a slap on the wrist. They took him to jail. But just, this is not, Dave says, absolutely, people, this is not a simulator. Get in the tube. I love it, guys. It's great. $8 for 6 megabit speed on a 4-hour flight is totally worth it. If that's the only thing, frankly, I don't think that, that airplane Wi-Fi, it used to be, so back in the day, here we go on a tangent here, but back in the day, Wi-Fi, good or bad? Back in the day, it used to be that you could get on an airplane, and on the airplane, when the Wi-Fi was new, it was easy to get really great speeds. You were like one of a few people, it might be you and some rando executive guy up in first class, and he was great. I remember distinctly I could make VPN connections. You could do all of this stuff, right? Nowadays, it's bad. It's rough. Especially in Alaska, I think there are other airlines that are now starting to use Starlink as a connection. There's more bandwidth there. But it's not great. It's you get on there and you're like, oh, cool. I paid $25 for this, and it's terrible. And by the way, if you're an Alaska flyer, which you don't even get a seat back entertainment system, you have to use your phone on their Wi-Fi. Well, it works. It works fine. It's okay. Back in the dino days. Thank you, Sakura. Back in my day when the internet was brand new and the Wi-Fi's were put onto the airplanes, it was quite an enjoyable experience, and I could do my work with Lotus Domino and Lotus Notes on my trip as I travel across the United States. Very oddly specific of me, I know, because that was kind of part of the deal. But anyway. Oh, it looks like wholesale. Oh, so Yocto said last few Alaska flights hit Starlink. This one did not. I'm not sure if that's rolled out to all of their planes. I do know that the airplane that I was on. Speaking of that, on my flight out of Portland down to Las Vegas, a day before, they sent me a message through the Alaska Hawaiian app. And like, we're sorry to report, but you will not have access to Wi-Fi on this flight. We're sorry. And I was like, wait, people actually pay for that? That's something that people do? And the fact that they knew a couple days in advance told me that, yeah, you had some big, or maybe it was just being trained or whatever. But yeah. Anatux, don't remind me about Lotus. I still have PTSD from using that. Hey, Lotus Notes, Lotus Domino, depending on what side. If you were a consumer, you would know Lotus Notes. If you were an admin, you'd know Domino, which was the mail server and database server backend. It was revolutionary at its time. And I don't say that to be like funny. I mean, like portable databases that you could replicate, and you could build applications through those databases, and you could share them across everything. And then it was awesome. It was awesome. It was just kind of antiquated technology by the time. Microsoft destroyed that. They dominated it. Even though SharePoint is trash. Trademark SharePoint is trash. You can fight me after the show in the community thing afterwards. But all right. Okay, so we talked about the Wi-Fi Pineapple. I still think it's a neat tool. Like I said, I know a couple people who bought one, and they were showing it off to me, and it's really cool, right? It'll tell you, one of the other things it has is it will tell you when somebody is doing a DDoS attack. It'll just like pop up and say, hey, somebody's trying to mess with you. So cool stuff. But I didn't buy it because they wanted $300 for it, and that is too much money for that. But for me anyway. All right, we're running close out of time. Let's get to the last thing here. Let's talk about this Microsoft August patch Tuesday, which is today. Tuesday today. Taco Tuesday, Microsoft Taco Tuesday. 400 flaws and 3 0 days. The reason why I wanted to talk about it is, well, primarily because I was like, is that the largest amount of patches to go out in a month? Turns out no. Turns out last month in July was the largest at 400. So, or sorry, 570. I wrote my notes down wrong. 570 flaws in July. So that they're trending down for this one. But this is only for Microsoft. It doesn't count any of the Azure. It doesn't count Teams or Entra or Office or the Power Apps or insert Microsoft property here. So when you start adding all that stuff together, it gets really big. But on top of that, we had, let's see here. So some really fantastic 0 days in there. So we had a CVE that was being actively exploited for Windows Ancillary Function Driver for WinSock elevation of privileges. There's a CVE for Windows User Profile Service elevation of privileges. There was a CVE for Windows Container Isolation File Server Filter Driver tamper flaw, and then just a whole bunch of stuff. Adobe pushed out a bunch of them for Cold Fusion. Cisco's got a bunch of your Catalyst SD-WAN, your iOS or your iOS XE, and your Clam AV, and TP-Link. There's a bunch. I'm not gonna go through all this stuff. Nonetheless, it's one of those things we talk about occasionally, but hey, update and patch your shit. That's what we're here for, right? And Kiko Ultra said, using Intune to disable Copilot is like feeding bacon to pigs. Chef's kiss. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. I tried to end this poll, and there it goes. It's not doing it. Let's see what happened. Anyway, there we go. Everybody universally hates Wi-Fi in airplanes. I'm glad we got that. But Anyway, let's do the thing that I always do here. We're gonna close it down, guys, because it's about time. I am not used to doing this by myself. So anyway, here I am. Hi, guys. Anyway, thank you all for hanging out. I am sorry about being gone last week. It's so great to be hanging out with you guys. Here in a little bit, I'm going to tear all of this down. I'm going to go back to my workstation. I'm going to plug it all back in, and I'll be on for the after hour show with hopefully a bunch of you cool people. And we'll do this again next week. What do you say? Anyway, friends, neighbors, everybody, stay safe. Stay cool if it's hot. Warm up if it's cold. We'll catch you on the flip side. Thanks for watching. We'll see.